Hi, and welcome back to AP Government. Today we're going to take a look at voting. Now, in the last video, we took a look at American elections and how they work. And today we're going to see what voting is and how that kind of goes down. All right, so to start off with, let's talk about suffrage. Suffrage is, of course, the right to vote, and it's extended over time. The 15th Amendment was passed during Reconstruction, gave suffrage to black males. In the 19th Amendment, passed in the early part of the 20th century, gave the right to vote to women. And the 26th Amendment, passed in 1971, 1972, it gave suffrage to everyone over 18. These are the three suffrage amendments that the AP people at the College Board really want you to know. They want you to understand that not everyone has always been able to vote in America, and that over time, the number of people who've been able to vote has been expanded slowly but surely. So that now, pretty much everyone over the age of 18 who's not in jail or in a mental institution or in many states not a convicted felon or having been discharged dishonorably from the military, they can vote, which is most all of us. Okay. Now, please don't confuse the word suffrage and the word suffering. They are two very, very different things. Suffrage is the right to vote. Suffering is not having a very good time. Okay. So the question is then, what have we done with our right to vote since winning it? You know, if you look at the picture here, we got some people who are obviously taking a real interest in the fact that they want the vote. This guy's painted his face for the march here. There's carrying the large American flag. There's obviously other people in the background. They're making a big deal about it. And what have we done with it? Well, we can say these things for sure. We have a notoriously low voter turnout rate in the United States. It's one of the lowest in all of the industrial West. But there are those who say, hey, you know, here we have this free country, and there's a rational decision here, and that not voting can be as strong of a statement as voting. If you don't vote, it can mean really one of two things. It can mean that you are very happy with the way things are, and you don't think that either party is going to make much change to make things that much better. Or maybe you just think that you haven't found someone that's worth voting for, and so you're not going to go out and be a part of it. That's a rational decision that people make. All right. It all has to do with a thing called political efficacy. That's like the number one determinant of whether people show up and vote. And political efficacy is a term that you have to know for the AP exam. Political efficacy is the belief that your vote makes a difference, that you can make a difference in politics. And if your sense of political efficacy is very low, you don't think that you make much difference, and that elections make much difference, you're not going to tend to show up and do it. If your political efficacy is high, then you're going to believe that elections are important and that it's a civic duty, and you're going to show up at pretty much all elections and do your best to vote as often as you possibly can. Some people see it as simply as a civic duty. This is just what they do. And when it's election day, whether they know what they're doing, whether they know the candidates, it's their civic duty, and they go out and do it. All of these are decisions in a free society. Okay, so now, but you know, it does beg the question that if we have a low voter turnout, and if low voter turnouts are especially low amongst minority communities, you know, it kind of makes you wonder why they bothered and why they fought so hard for this. But hey, it gave people the choice, and that's what America is all about. So you don't believe me? Take a look at this. Now, this chart ends at 2004. So you know, is not the most up to date, but it doesn't change a whole lot from here. You can see that around the turn of a century, we had very high voter turnout rates. Around 80% of the voting age population voted for president, dipping way down in the 1920s, giving a rise, and now we're back down. So we're hovering around 55, 60%. It kicked up a little bit higher in 2008 when Obama ran, but not too much. Still, a good number of people don't vote. Now, this may reflect a general apathy about politics in America. You know, let's face it, there's lots of stuff on TV that we can watch, and politics may not be what most people want to see. Now, keep in mind, this is like the good part of the whole thing. Presidential elections have significantly higher turnout rates than other elections. And so when we talk about local elections, I mean, turnout rates are absolutely abysmal. Well, here we have women who are out there pushing for the vote, having meetings, marching, doing all these things. They fought for years. They knew that if they wanted social equality, if they wanted to be treated as equals in society, that political power was the absolute first step. And, so they wore nice hats and they had nice banners and all of that, and they got what they were looking for. But keep in mind, there was a very long time when male property owners, white male property owners, were the only ones who were allowed to vote in America. And a lot of dedicated citizens took a lot of time, a lot of effort, and all of that in order to make it so that we even have the chance to vote. Okay, so let's say you've decided now, I've convinced you, you want to vote. What do you do? Well, hey, first of all, you have to register. Every state has a different system to register. They set it all up. You have to go out and do that. The states are the ones in charge of the voting process by Constitution, and each state has its own voter registration requirements. They don't tend to vary that much these days, but there's little intricacies from state to state. But Bill Clinton here did us a big favor when in 1993 signed what we refer to as the Motor Voter Act. Again, this is one of those things that's going to be on the AP exam. It's on there every time, and it made it very simply: motor voter. You're a driver, you're a voter, okay? Every state had to offer voter registration when people got their driver's licenses. Now, obviously not if you're under 18, but for the rest of us who get driver's licenses, we are given the option to register to vote right there at the DMV. Makes life nice and easy, all right? It's designed to make the process easier, make it so that there's one less barrier to us all voting. So when we look at this, then who actually goes out and votes? What factors determine this? Well, there's lots of them: education, age, race, gender, marital status, union membership, all of these things, okay? So just real quickly, they tend to be very intuitive. The more education you have, the more likely you are to vote. The older you are, the more likely you are to vote. Whites tend to vote at higher rates than minorities. Women tend to vote at higher rates than men. If you're married, then you tend to vote more than if you're single. If you're a member of a union, your union's going to push for you to go out and vote, and you're going to do that. But all of these are cumulative. Like, there's not any of us who's, just one of these things. We have all of them. And so you may have someone who's, well-educated, young minority male who's single and not a member of a union. Well, is that person going to vote? It's not all cut and dry. Here's an AP tip for you. If they ask a question saying which one of these people is most likely to vote, they'll give you 5 options with 5 individuals. There's going to be one person who is old, educated, white. The person's going to fit all of the different characteristics that are out there that make it more likely that they're going to vote. So it should be very obvious if you keep these things in mind. Okay, so that's kind of where I want to stop here, make this one nice and short. And in my next video, I'll go through and walk you through the election process itself. Okay? Hope you enjoyed this. Have yourselves a great day.